Hello, everybody. Welcome on in into another very much losing edition of the WyoNation postgame show. The Wyoming Cowboys have just lost at home to Utah State by the final score of 27-25, with Utah State kicking a game-winning 40-yard field goal with no time left on the clock. Oh boy, do we have a lot to talk about. So we're going to limit ourselves to a half an hour tonight, which will be good. So I want to hear your comments. I'm sure you're just as frustrated as me, but there's a lot to dig into, and we'll give it a few minutes here for the crowd to show up before I lay into my number one talking point, and that's if people even show up tonight, because, hey, I don't know, right? It's like probably better to go outside and take a walk. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. All right, I see some of you coming in. I see a Clint. I see a Zach. Yep, we'll get into that here. So welcome on into the post-game show. If you're not subscribed already, please do subscribe to the channel. Helps everybody know out there, and it helps you get pings when we go live. So I'm sure a lot of you get those notifications. And we are here after another disappointing Wyoming football loss. And I'll just get into it. This is the third game now in this season. Third game at home, too, that this coaching staff has specifically thrown away through terrible game management and terrible decisions. There's no end, ands, ifs, buts about that. It's 100% true. Nobody can defend what this coaching staff has done in those three games, throwing 3 victories away. Today was absolutely shocking, the decisions that were made by Jay Savell. He's the head coach, right? So he is going to get the brunt of this, as he should. It's very, very bad. Let's talk about, I guess, kind of the three things. Wyoming loses by 2 points. Jay Savell, you could argue quite easily, was instrumental in handing Utah State at least, probably you can go 11 points, and then he took 4 points away from us. So let's walk through this. End of the first half, after Evan Svoboda had 2 series of football, Caden Anderson had 2 series of football. Anybody who's seen football, who knows anything about football, knows that Caden Anderson looked the most prepared and the best equipped to run this offense. But in a 2-minute warning situation, they put Evan Svoboda in there, and he throws an interception. And then 2 plays later, Utah State scores a touchdown with under a minute left in the first half. That's 7 points right there. 100% on the coaches. All they have to do is, okay, if you're going to put Svoboda out there, then just run the ball. Or put Anderson in there, who is obviously a much better passer, and we'll look at the stats. 2, Utah State was driving. I do believe the score at the time was Wyoming was up 22-17. They were driving. There was a pass interference call on Wyoming. I think Utah State was already in field goal position, but then Jay Savell runs onto the field, yelling at the refs, gets another 15 yards tacked on. Utah State goes and scores a touchdown. So again, and this is when the Wyoming defense was playing well. So that's 4 points. So that's my 11. So I'll say Jay Savell gave Utah State 11 points. Then, and I don't know when this was, but you all know, Anderson gets the team down to the 3-yard line. And then they run in Evan Svoboda, and we have to settle for a field goal. So again, that's 4 points taken off the board potentially for Wyoming. You should have to score a touchdown in that situation. So again, the mismanagement is terrible. Yeah, keep the comments coming in. I'll show them on the board. Last thing. Now, you can comment on this, and I'll put it up there right away. I was not paying close attention, but people were telling me that when Wyoming had the ball just before the 2-minute warning, they ran a play when they didn't have to. Is this true? If that's the case, right? That time, if you could have drained another 20 to 40 seconds off the clock, again, clock management, terrible clock management. So, all right. Does anybody have any specific knowledge there on that one? I can look at the play-by-play. Let's look here. Let's go to the plays here really quickly if I can find them. Sometimes it's hard in here. Previous drive. Okay, they don't put time on here. Wish they would. Yeah, they don't. They don't put time on there. All right, Clint's got it. Clint says they should have held that third down play until after the 2 minutes. Yeah, exactly. And they ran the ball right after that. So then at least you force Utah State to take a timeout or you drain another 30, 40 seconds off the clock. Absolutely crazy. So again, coaching staff throwing 3 games away. The Idaho game, they threw away. The San Diego State game, they threw away. And they've thrown this game away. Let's just be honest here. This was 2 bad football teams playing each other, so it made for an entertaining game. But even if we had won this game, let's not talk about like much of an accomplishment. Utah State is pretty bad defensively, obviously. And we didn't take advantage of that at all in some cases. So I don't know, man. It's just really hard for me to listen about, hey, we're going to fix this and we're going to fix that. And we're making stupid decisions. Let's look here. Oh, we only had 3 penalties. Oh, that's fourth quarter only. Okay. I'm like, what? Penalties were also a problem again, I do believe. Let's look at here. 6 for 61. Okay. Not too terrible. But again, Savell can't get a 15-yard per foul for running onto the field and yelling at the refs. I mean, that can't happen. So Wyoming outscored 10-9 in the fourth quarter, and they lose the game. They outscored Utah State 15-10 in the second half. All right, let's see here. We've got Matthew. Matthew says, I'm willing to give Savell some forgiveness for his rookie season with the exception of playing number 17. Yeah. I think we can all agree that Anderson should play quarterback for the rest of the season. Now, I understand the allure, right? And this happens to all coaches. They see Svoboda, who's, 6'6", 240, can run, rocket arm. Well, it doesn't matter if you can't execute. Caden Anderson, not the biggest guy in the world, not the fastest guy in the world, but guess what? He was delivering on-time passes in the pocket. And how much different did our offense look when he was in there? We were hitting short passes, and since they were thrown in the proper location and not at 100 miles an hour, they could catch them, and they were getting yards after catch. The offense looked really good. And you could argue that we probably should have still won this game, but again, they decided not to really commit to the run against the second to worst rushing defense in the country. Sam Scott, 11 carries, 115 yards. Let's get these up. Right here. He's got to have more than 11 carries when he's averaging 10.5 yards a carry. What are we doing? Now, granted, they were using a lot of King, who had great, obviously, 54-yard touchdown run. Yep, there it is. That's the longest, 54. But then after that, there was basically nobody else. Why are we giving carries to Farrell? No idea. 7 for 23. Makes no sense. 11 carries for Scott, 115 yards. You have to feed him the ball, and I was saying that in the second half. Clint's in the house. Let's see another Clint. Got dueling Clints. Let's not forget how it's easy for them not to have to pay a good coach so they could do renovations. Oh, I don't know about that. All right. I should read these before I put them on. All right, let's go back to the beginning. Again, Clint agrees. And I'm sorry, I'm just all over the place right now because I just don't understand it. 100% on Jay and their decision making. Yes, this football staff has no clue what they're doing. I would say they're in over their head. And that's the first time I've said this, but now I'm like, okay. Complete incompetence. Eric says, feels bad for the players. The coaching staff has really let them down. Yes, for the third time this year, I would say. Let's see. Loser mentality on display. Oh, yes. Here we go. And here's, yeah. Please answer me this. Now, I don't understand this at all. Why did we not use our final timeout with 30 seconds left? At least if he makes the kick like he did, give yourself a chance to, you got King back there. Make them kick it to King. Maybe they kick it out of bounds. Maybe you have the touchback. Okay, you have no timeouts, but then you have maybe 30 seconds in the ball to go chuck it deep a few times. Maybe you get a pass interference call and you can kick a field goal. Again, I think that is coaching malpractice. Why did you not call a timeout there? Am I wrong? Is there a strategy here that I'm missing? I don't believe so. Yeah, I recommended a walk. Outlaw Cowboy. But we had to come here. Drew, good to see you, buddy. I think is this a two-parter? It must be. But what is going on here with yours? Season, it's getting disappointing with Savell, who I actually like. Yeah, I mean, Savell's a likable guy, but his decision making and their talent evaluation is truly terrible. I would say they don't know how to make proper decisions. Let's see, what else did we? Scott did great. Oops, I've got into this big mode again. Video game, pull him and insert Whaley. Yeah, with Whaley coming back, but again, I don't know. Does it really matter at this point in time? Oh, boy. Here we go. Yep, Clint came to awesome, dropped some dimes, had a few fad throws. Yeah, so the biggest thing with me, with Anderson, is I think that at least he's going to have the ability to be able to improve. And you saw him. He was reading the defense. He was making on-time throws. I mean, this offense and this scheme actually worked, right? When you had the threat of the running game up the middle and then the jet sweep play and guys getting to the edge, and we were completing passes over the middle and they were on time. Guys were catching 5-6 yard passes and getting another 5-6 yards after the catch. It's exactly what you want to see. There we go. Somehow my button keeps getting whacked out. So, Bull was not likable, but he won, and then we liked him. Exactly. Winning cures everything. Exactly. Yeah, no, as I said, my number one, and now I'm 100% on board. Oh, I was, obviously, but Savell is the substitute teacher. Just wants to make everybody happy instead of making decisions to win football games. Imagine if Anderson had those possessions that Swoboda wasted. Potentially. I mean, you could say that. They did get 3 points, though, right? On Swoboda's second drive, I do believe. Was it 3 points? Rashawn is in the house. Hey, man, good to see you again. We finding new ways to lose. Yeah. 100%, man. All right, Drew's got to take off. All right, I get you. We all got better things to do than talk about this nonsense, don't we? But bad thing if Savell stays, which he will, the attrition will be horrific. Yeah, it's something to consider, right? So as I said before, right, we made this coaching hire so people wouldn't go in the portal. And now, more than likely, you're going to have a historically terrible season. And guess what? Players are going to go in the portal. So, again, instead of worrying about the portal, hire the best coach you can. I guarantee you that if Wyoming actually did a national search, they would have had people knocking at the door to take over a 9-win program. Here's the other thing. Oh, no, Clint's got another comment. This might be good. We got some wide receiver talent. Yes. Let's get that back up. Let's look at the numbers. which were pretty good, I thought, especially when you got, look at this, Chris Durr throwing him the ball, 9 catches, 83 yards, man. Beautiful. Keen, 4 for 52. Nantke, that was a heck of a catch he had there on that sideline. Gillenborg only had 1. I mean, you got to find a way. And maybe with Anderson in there, right, his 1 catch for 6 yards was over the middle. And that's where you got to use Gillenborg. Use him against linebackers. Or make them use safeties and corners to go over the middle. And then you got, right, make them get into a dime package or a nickel package to cover them. And then you could run the ball. So, again, good distribution. But Durr, 9 for 83. 10 targets. Yeah, Gillenborg had 4, but only had 1 catch. So, again, I think that is key, the yards after the catch. All right, let's see here, boys and girls. Anderson was more dynamic and a quick trigger. One small critique that he had the early check down. Yeah. No, I noticed that there was a couple times. One, I think it was Gillenborg, was in the flat where I don't know why he didn't throw it. But then he eventually did throw it, and the ball, it was too late. And he threw it behind him near the sideline. But again, right, he's a freshman. A redshirt freshman, and he has the ability to learn, I think. And he sat in the pocket, and he delivered balls. And again, he's not the most athletic, doesn't have a rocket arm, but he delivers balls on time. And so I think he's got a pretty bright future if he can improve and learn to read the game better and get the balls out. I think he looks just fine for this system we want to run. Okay. Our best wide receivers are the younger guys, 100%. Yeah. And we'll see now that we're getting into the final 4 games. We'll see now that we don't have to worry about red shirts if we see more young players. Because the season's over now, right? You're 1-7. As I said on the show in the midweek, the number one goal of this coaching staff, and I don't know if they're smart enough to do this, is they got to find out who can play at this level for them next season. Do you think Salvell should have called a timeout with 35 seconds left in the 4th? Yes. Yes, I talked about that. Dan, you might have missed it. And so I asked, what on earth was he doing? Oh, yeah, and another turning point in this game, and this game could have been a lot different for this, is, where did it go? Clint has it. The king targeting. That was not called. So I do believe, right, Wyoming was up 2. Had the ball near midfield, or would have, and more if they would have called a targeting penalty, which I don't know how that's not targeting. It's textbook targeting. The reason he fumbled the ball is because he got laid out helmet-to-helmet contact in his head. Helmet-to-helmet contact, and he fumbles the ball, and they're like, yeah, that's a fumble, and there's no targeting. And I'm like, what? And then they call targeting on Rook Brown, but then they pick that flag up. So I don't know what these refs are doing. But yeah, let's hope Keen's okay. Let's hope he doesn't have a concussion. He had a great game. And he'll do a lot better with Anderson in there because Anderson will throw accurate, on-time passes on the edge that he can catch and then make moves, as you saw. Let's see. Sacrificing the 35 seconds to ice the kicker. Is that what you think, AJ? You think he was making the leverage of, hey, let's ice the kicker instead of getting time? Maybe. And I'm sure they'll ask him about it, hopefully. Yeah, that's the only thing I could think. But again, I think that's not a good idea. If they make it, you got to give your team a chance to, right? Even if it's a 0.0001 chance, you got to give your team a chance. Yeah, Rashawn, you think that was the X factor of the game? It could have been. Could have been a completely different game if Wyoming, goes up 5 or even goes up 9 in that situation. But they didn't. But I guess the good thing is, right, the defense got the ball back right after that, so Utah State didn't score. So, yeah, we'll never know. We never know. You guys are having good comments tonight. Let's see if I missed any. Can a 1-11 coach get fired after losing 2 of the 3 trophies? Maybe. As I said, I don't think it will happen because of as long as Berman's AD, he's safe. But Berman could be under pressure with this. So let's see. TG's got a question. Were there any coaching names mentioned rumored to be interviewed when the job opened up? No, because Tom Berman immediately hired Jay Salvell. There was no search. So the job was never open. They just handed him the job. Much like, and this is where I'll get the criticism of Jay Salvell too. Jay Salvell, on the first day he was hired, named Evan Svoboda starting quarterback. Based on what? A game at Texas, I guess. So again, we got a quarterback who was handed a job, not earned. He's failed. And we have a head coach who was handed a job. I don't know. His buyout? I don't know what the buyout is. I think probably it would be I don't know if it's like base only or base plus incentives. I'd have to look at it. I know that his like total package is roughly about 1.1 a year, and he signed a 5-year deal. So if it was full base, it'd be about 4.4 million to get rid of him, unless they worked out like a package where he would take less, which is possible. But again, as long as Berman's around, that's not going to happen. But I said, if we go like you guys say, if we go 1-11, I think there's a scenario where Berman is not around and you get a new AD. But if you're going to do that, it has to happen pretty soon. You got to get a new AD in, and then he's got to be able to hire a coach quickly. So it would be something that has to happen in the next 2 or 3 weeks. TG's got a question. In your opinion, are our O and D lines matching up physically? I thought the defensive line showed out a lot today, and then sometimes they didn't. I thought they were pretty physical. The offensive line, man, I don't know. Again, it's kind of hit and miss. I think we've kind of lost that identity. Under Bowl, you knew no matter what, right? They were going to be physical. So I don't know if it's a Bowl thing. But what do you guys think? What about the physicality? I thought at times we looked pretty physical, but I think sometimes we look a little too finesse, and that maybe that's just the nature of the offense now, where we're throwing it more, we're getting on the edge more, so we're playing less power football. And so, right, some of those blocking techniques are different, not your pure power. So yeah, what do you think, TG? What do you think, Rashawn? Yeah, you guys are great tonight. And I thank you for joining me. I mean, I don't want to be here talking about it. I mean, I thought we were going to win, right? And I was going to try to balance, well, we won, but we made all these mistakes. And it's just the mistakes, right? All these mistakes, coaching mistakes, execution mistakes. So it'll be really interesting what Savell has to say. Despite the loss, we are much better with Caden. Yeah, I think it's 100% clear that he is a better quarterback. Not saying that he's like all conference or anything like that, but I mean, he's got ability. I mean, the kid started at the same school as Ewers and down in Texas. And I think he blew out his knee. If he didn't blow out his knee in high school, he was probably playing for a Power 5 school because he was putting up great numbers. So again, give him some time. Yep, AJ says offense definitely flows with Anderson. So yeah. So hopefully we don't hear, right? Jay Salvell needs to read the room. And if we hear any more about, oh, well, we got to get Evan time, and I still believe in Evan. No, right? Evan had his chance. Evan is not ready. And that's not Evan's fault. That's the coach's fault for putting him in there. They need to coach him up. And again, I'm not trying to pick on Salvell, and nobody's accused me of that, but I'm just going to keep saying it because I know people are sensitive, but the coaches are the ones who put players in position, and they did not put him in a position to succeed. Yeah. Matthew says, yeah, no, we have, right? You got to be able to find a quarterback. It's not that hard. Most schools can find a quarterback. And I think we have one. I think Caden Anderson is very, very equipped to be a Mountain West quarterback. And now we just got to build the offense around him and let's see if he learns, right? Evan got 6 games. So Anderson should get the rest of these games and let's see what he can do when he makes mistakes. Let's see if he learns. But yeah, let's get the stats back up here. I can't believe we haven't done this yet. I mean, it's night and day. 63% completion percentage, 182 yards compared to 2 for 7 for 12. And then when you look at the rushing, I mean, Caden Anderson was running the ball. 9 for 25. Svoboda had 6 for 24. Right? That's not that much different. I mean, obviously, we've seen Svoboda rip off some big runs. Anderson's not going to do that, but he can do it. And, I forgot about this. How about on zone reads? Zone read plays. Caden Anderson was actually reading the defensive end like you're supposed to. Let's see, Rashawn, you're down in Texas, right? So he knows. Caden comes from Lake Carroll, the same school that Drew Brees went to. All right. And remember, Drew Brees was going to come to Wyoming before Joe Tiller went to Purdue. So that's another alternate universe we could have been in. Think about if Drew Brees would have been the quarterback at the University of Wyoming instead of going to Purdue. Crazy. Let's see here. We got some great comments. Joseph says, yeah, I think Anderson doesn't start the rest of the year. He'll head to the portal. I know. I mean, sure. Because he won't be getting a fair shake. That's for sure. But we already know Savell said, well, I can't bitch Svoboda because he'll go in the portal. Okay. Let him go to the portal. We're not in here to stoke people's egos or wait for potential, right? Potential gets coaches fired. You got to play the best guy. And it's clear. I mean, I was on the fence because I was like, all right, I need to see Anderson play like more than a few snaps. But I know a lot of you were like, it's clear to me already that but I think today puts all that conversation to bed. Let's see here. Tohi gets hurt on a blindside, missed block, or designated run play. Rebuild the offense. Yeah. Yeah, and if we get Whaley back next week and you have Scott and Whaley running the ball and you can complete passes, right? Even if they're short, they don't have to be long. Just be efficient. I think the offense could be really something. Yeah, Clint. He can't be taking safety. He's going to get hurt. Yeah. No, he is a little thin, right? And he's still a redshirt freshman. Get him in the weight room. Let's get some weight on him. But yeah, I mean, he's an injury waiting to happen. Let's remember we have a ton of injuries on the O-line. True. Secondary and tons of youth out there. Yeah, that's fine. But as I said, I don't blame the players. I mean, the coaches are the ones who have thrown these games away with their game plans and then their lack of adjustments and their judgment and their playing rotations. Actually, the younger guys are better than most of the experienced players, to be honest. So, I don't know. Honestly, Boise is a game. Maybe, Sean, but I don't know. I think he had his chance. If he was going to do it, he would have shown those flashes by now. But again, it's not about, obviously, he's got the talent, God-given talent. Hold on here. I'm trying to clear this out. But it's all about consistency. Doesn't matter if you can throw the ball 70 yards, but if you can only throw it accurately 70 yards, 1 out of 15 times, I'll take Anderson, who's going to complete a 6-yard pass 70, 80% of the time. Right? So that's where we're at. That's where we're at. So I don't know. I'm just kind of rambling here. But yeah, very disappointing. Wyoming's 1-7. They'll be playing at New Mexico next week. Another poor team. They lost to the Sheep earlier today. Oh, I see what you're saying. You're saying a 2-quarterback game to keep Caden from getting murdered. Okay, I could see that. I see what you're saying. But I think if you commit to Caden, you got to change the offense, and you just don't run them unless you absolutely have to. And that may be the case. You get Whaley back, then you just have to remove the quarterback run game from the offense to not get him hurt. Let's see. Clint says, if 17 comes in running but 3rd and 1, I'm out, Sean. Yeah. And even then, everybody's going to know what's coming, right? Like, that's why I didn't like him coming in, Sabota coming in at the 3-yard line. He's not a threat to throw. And they knew that. And we lost yardage, and we had to settle for a field goal when you could have scored a touchdown. So that's where we are. It's very disappointing. And we'll see. We'll see if UW leadership reacts. I don't think this is acceptable. And I'm willing to give like a first-year head coach a little slack. But we've been hearing blah, 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 blah since game 1. And nothing changes. The game management, the player rotations, the scheme, none of it makes sense. And they've thrown away 3 games. We could easily have 4 wins. Sean says he thinks we'll win. We could. If you play Caden Anderson a whole game, you very well may. I mean, New Mexico's not very good, obviously. So it is a winnable game, but we've played quite a few winnable games. Will the coaches get out of their way? Yeah. I was going to look that up. I don't know how many teams have gone from a 9-win to 1 in the next season, but we're looking at it. Or even 2, right? I mean, that's a huge drop-off. Huge drop-off. But yeah, disappointing. And again, we'll monitor what Savell had to say. Have any of you seen? I've been looking at my feed to see if there was any quotes yet. But no, I don't think so. I mean, you saw the offense, Dan. When you have a quarterback in there who can actually complete passes and they're on time, as I said, and they're accurate and they can catch them, and they got a quarterback who's not trying to throw the ball through the receiver's chest, the offense looked efficient, explosive. So I don't think Jay Johnson's the problem here. Funny things happen in Albuquerque. They have a coaching advantage for sure. Yeah. Yeah, it's a road game, so we don't play well on the road. So, yeah. Well, guys. D-line rotation is horrible. Yeah, I mean, a lot of our rotations are horrible. Like the running back rotation makes no sense. The wide receiver rotation makes no sense. I don't understand. But I don't get paid to understand. So, they do. So, all right, everybody. There's really not that much more to say. I think we all kind of agree. And we'll just have to see. Hopefully, they actually do make some changes. But again, it's hard mid-season. Like, this is not the time to do that. But it shows right? We'll see. I don't even know, right? I'm not 100% convinced that Savell will make the right decision. We might still see 2 quarterbacks for the rest of the season. 100% possible. Shouldn't be the case. I think it's clear to everybody that Anderson should be given all the snaps, all the reps, and a chance to improve, and let's see what he can do. Hey, thank you, Clint. Appreciate you. I appreciate you all for joining me. We'll wrap this up. Go enjoy a frosty beverage. Go for a walk. Oh, Eric says, hold on. He says, another mishap. I'm not sure got mentioned. We only had 10 men on the field and had to burn a timeout in the second half. Okay, I don't remember that. But it doesn't surprise me if that happened. As I said, the coaching staff they don't prepare these players. So, all right, everybody. Well, thank you once again for joining me. We will be back midweek for our regular show, and we'll have some wrestling to talk about. We'll have men's basketball. We played an exhibition last night. And then, of course, the wrestling opens up October 31st on Halloween in Cheyenne. So we'll have a lot to talk about. We'll have some quotes from Savell. So should be good. We should have some more answers. We'll have more discussion. And I think this is a great forum to have that discussion because, right, in Wyoming, we don't have a whole lot of media that has forums like this. So I think it's great. And I appreciate you all for joining me tonight. You guys take it easy, and we'll all get together again soon. So for everybody at WyoNation, this is Chad. Catch y'all later.